Hi, I'm Krista Campbell. Thank you for joining us today for Inspection Management with ArcGIS Online. Before we get started, I would like to encourage you to post your questions. We will have time at the end of the webinar to answer some of them. The questions that we don't get to, we'll go ahead and include in a Q&A document that's going to be posted on GeoNet after the webinar. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording will be posted on GeoNet as well as Meetup. You will receive a follow-up email with a link to the recording location after the webinar. We have a great lineup for you today. David Topman, our water industry manager, will start with the webinar with a discussion of inspection management and how workflow has started to move into the cloud. Joining David is Daryl Gadberry, Josh McIntyre, and Corey Chris. Daryl has 38 years of experience working with utilities throughout the United States. Part of this time he spent with Fort Worth Water Department. In this role, he developed Fort Worth's Interception Condition Assessment Program, which won the Texas Environmental Excellence Award for Innovative Operations and Management. Josh has spent the last 8 years working in the infrastructure industry. His focus has been on inflow and infiltration assessments, as well as the repair, rehabilitation, and replacement of water system assets. Corey is the CEO of Infrastructure Technologies. She pioneered underground infrastructure inspection software in the U.S. as president of WinCan America. Continuing her work, Corey founded Infrastructure Technologies in 2009, and they've been an ESRI partner since 2011. Daryl, Josh, and Corey are going to share their story, challenges, and accomplishments surrounding the implementation of an inspection management program at Kansas City. But first, we're going to let David go ahead and kick the webinar off. David?
Okay, thanks, Krista. And I'd like to welcome you folks to the Friday edition of our monthly Thursday meetup. So again, appreciate you all joining us on a Friday morning. So, you know, I just wanted to go through a couple of topics, you know, after the introductions here, but talk a little bit about the data challenge of inspections, and then of course talking about some of the standards, and then how this is indeed migrating to the cloud. But actually, for those of you that have been with our meetups before, you know that we ask some interactive questions, and I'd actually like to start off right off the bat with a polling question. Krista?
Sure, David. Let's go ahead and start with our first poll of the day. Do you have an organized CCTV inspection program? Yes, no, or don't know. Please go ahead and pick the answer that most applies to your organization. Do you have an organized CCTV inspection program? Wow, so it looks like we're split down the middle. About half of you are saying yes, half of you are saying no. There's a couple that don't know, but primarily it's split down the middle, David.
That's very interesting. The reason we wanted to start off with that is we are going to talk about an organized CCTV inspection program, and so it kind of helps us understand where your folks are coming from. So many of you may know that before coming to ESRI, I worked at Colorado Springs Utilities, and we had actually engaged in a voluntary consent decree, if you will. It was part of our environmental stewardship, and we knew that we had some challenges with our sanitary sewer system, and it was one of those where first in the ground and first forgotten. So when we went into that program, it was one of our biggest challenges, but also one of the best things that could have happened, because it brought focus, it brought some attention, it brought a rigor to our sanitary sewer program, and most notably also brought some funding. Excuse me, but really from a data management perspective, it also pretty much brought the single most significant IT challenge that we had ever had. So under the data management, one of our biggest challenges back then was the storage. We had funded our storage area network, and we purchased terabytes of disk space because we anticipated collecting more data in our organized CCTV management program than the entire history of the utility to date. So we back then, before really the cloud was significant, we went into a traditional disk storage. Then there was simply the access, getting access to all that data. Back then we were still mounting file folders and trying to integrate the web to these folders, and moving some of that data around caused network challenges. But then we also just simply looked at the whole frequency and records retention of the videos. We know we wanted to understand trending, so one video file, point's not a trend, 2 points is a line, not so much a trend, and then 3 videos we knew we could start doing trending. So that was just a significant challenge for us, and that's changing clearly with the advent of cloud technology and potential limitless storage. But I will let infrastructure technologies talk about that a little bit in a while. One of the other things that I get asked about from an asset management perspective here at ESRI, folks that are working with customers from really all over the world, one of the first questions is, before they go into an organized CCTV program, they say, well, what are the asset IDs? What is the ID of a pipe? And that kind of gets us into an interesting question, because in the CCTV world, you're going to record every stick of pipe, every defect, every lateral, and usually we try to adopt an asset identification of, what is an operable asset. And in the water world, that's typically from valve to valve, which could be many sticks of pipe. And same thing in the sanitary sewer, typically from manhole to manhole. But clearly you're going to have individual observation IDs of every stick of pipe. And you just have to use the granularity of the identification that's appropriate to the system. So with today's technologies, you can obviously roll data up to a form of hierarchy. But really the whole overall goal of an organized CCTV program, of course, is going from that observed inspection to some form of condition assessment, which will get you to the asset rehabilitation. Before I move on to standards, part of what we want to bring to you today is the advent of the cloud, and that's one of the things that the reason we have infrastructure technologies here for you today is, our monthly webinars, we typically highlight customer success stories, which are very informative, and then we bring ESRI expertise. But sometimes we bring a partner solution to the table, because it's our partners that really extend the platform, and with over 2,000 partners building solutions, it really helps bring you some of these sort of technologies. And infrastructure technologies is one of those that has worked with us, especially with the advent of ArcGIS Online, and bringing that CCTV technology to the cloud. So actually, before I move on to standards, I would like to ask our next polling question. Krista?
Okay, we can make that happen. Okay, great. Our next polling question is, what is your primary architecture? On-premise only, cloud only, or hybrid, on-premise and in the cloud? If you're not sure, just pick don't know. Give you guys a few seconds. So far, it looks almost split again. A small percentage is saying cloud only, and then 40% plus for on-premise only, and again 40% plus for hybrid. A small percentage of don't know. All right, it looks like most of you have voted. David?
Okay, well, and that seems to be kind of par for course, that a lot of you do have the on-premise, and those that have the hybrid are, of course, kind of moving into the cloud. And again, I think that's part of what you will learn today. So just a brief word on standards. Back when we approached this, organized program. The standard of the day had just started to emerge was the NASCO standard from the National Association of Sewer Service Companies, and we started off the Pipeline Assessment and Certification Program, the PACP. Back then, the manhole program had not been quite finalized, nor the lateral assessment. So we really start off with the PACP, and that was part of our organized program. But you need not choose, NASCO. There are definitely other standards out there, and again, as we talk to our world community, there's definitely a very good set of standards from the Water Research Center in the UK. They have their Manual of Sewer Condition Classification, or the MSCC. And then, of course, our folks just to the north of us in Canada, they have their Large Sewer Condition Coding and Rating, the LSCCR. And there's also been standards developed above and beyond NASCO at various engineering firms. One that you'll see documented out there is from CH2M Hill, called the Sewer Condition Risk Evaluation Algorithm Model, or SCREAM. So apparently, for a standard, you need to have a good acronym out there. But there's also others out there that there are folks that find themselves they develop a standard that works best for them. And I think also when you see in documentation, you'll see that that the Fort Worth Water Department, where Daryl came from, they had documentation, they've been documented of having a very successful program that they adopted their own internal standards. And I think Daryl will talk a little bit, mention the experience from Fort Worth and the standards that they used. So with that, I'd like to turn this over to Daryl and company, and they're going to talk about the solution from called IT Pipes. Daryl?
Okay, thanks, David. And that was an excellent overview on asset management, data management, and things of that nature, and the coding system. And as David said, and Carissa said, I've been with the city of Fort Worth for over 17 years. Well, first off, let me thank all of our attendees for taking time out of your day and allowing us to show you how we're going to maximize the benefits of ArcGIS Online and pairing it with IT Pipes and IT Pipe Webs. But back to kind of tack off what David said, data management and access management is really critical in this industry, and actually what we're going to show you today. And I'm a firm believer that for every asset, you need a plan. Every asset needs a plan, and that plan needs to be referenced in time. So that kind of leads into why you have coding systems. And when I started with Fort Worth, date myself a little bit, PACP didn't even exist, which is why Fort Worth created their own, which I did during my tenure with the city of Fort Worth. But to go on with some of my experience in this industry, while employed with Fort Worth, I developed and implemented their multiple condition assessment programs, such as their small diameter sanitary sewer condition program and their large diameter sanitary sewer multi-sensor program, which also utilizes 3D laser inspection, sonar, and HDTV. And currently at this point, it's considered the largest program of this nature in the world. So as all of you can imagine, I have a lot of experience with inspection management, GIS, and moving data around, and like David said, storage space, server arrays, and things of that nature. So once again, thank all you guys for all you people for allowing us this opportunity. And now I'll let Corey introduce herself.
Thanks, Daryl. I'm Corey Chris with Infrastructure Technologies, and looking forward to sharing this project with you today as it highlights the use of our IT Pipes web solution on the KCMO project. We work with a lot of agencies that don't have IT staff to manage their inspection data. And this project was fun because it went beyond just managing the data. We went into also managing the people and the companies collecting the data. So it was pretty challenging from a resources standpoint, and I'm excited to share what we did with you all today.
Thank you, Corey. My name is Josh McIntyre, and I currently do business development for Ace Pipe Cleaning. and Kansas City is one of my largest and closest customers. Looking forward to sharing our project with you today, and more specifically, some of the challenges we've had in previous projects like this one, and how those were overcome with using ArcGIS Online and IT Pipes Web. So with that, we'll just we'll get into it and get started. Just to give you an idea of ACE's footprint, we currently have over 200 employees working in 13 different states. We've got offices in Kansas City, St. Louis, Nashville, Texas, and Arizona. And we really specialize in underground asset management and trenchless rehab. The project we're going to talk about today is for performing pipe cleaning and televising. And on these types of projects, we've provided digital deliverables for years, and now we're able to coordinate those deliverables with digital mapping. ACE also performs pipe and manhole rehab. We provide multi-sensor inspections such as sonar and laser, and we manage inspection data for smaller clients as well. This particular project in Kansas City was in need of unique management tools because of the size and multiple crews and multiple contractors. So we had to find a solution beyond what we've used on projects previously. The total project is part of the OCP program here in Kansas City. OCP meaning Overflow Control Program. This program was put together to bid and manage projects to meet the consent decree the city is currently involved in. This KCMO project it's a large one for us, but it's actually coming on the heels of a much larger project. We just finished up an OCP contract in which we cleaned and televised a little over 3 million feet on one contract in under 14 months. That project was done without ArcGIS Online and IT Pipes, so we had to work off paper maps with multiple contractors doing the same field work at the same time. This inevitably led to duplicated work between the 4 different contractors. But in the short months we've been using the new software, those issues have virtually been eliminated, and we've become much more efficient. The current project we're talking about today is just under 700,000 linear feet of cleaning and televising of both sanitary and combined sewer. And the preliminary work of the clean TV work that we're doing now, the reason these contracts go out is to gather baseline data to then design rehab and I&I abatement projects based on what we collect. So ACE, along with our subcontractors, have about a year to complete this particular project. This is a lot of footage in a short period of time and coordinated with multiple contractors, all doing the same type of work. So in this presentation, we're going to review the challenges and solutions that we've found to those challenges. And what you'll see here today are true maps and work orders that have already been issued. So it isn't a demo. This is real-world information. So we're going to start with Daryl giving an overview of some of the challenges that we faced. Daryl?
Thanks, Josh. And let me just kind of expand on that. Throughout these slides that you're going to see of the actual, the 700,000 feet project that Josh is referenced, what you're seeing on screen is really 4 project areas, but these project areas only represent 34% of the referenced 700,000 linear feet. And in this geographic area, you literally have 3 contractors with multiple crews, so you can see the tight area everybody's working in. So there was a need to get away from paper maps. So, having experience working with, the crews we had in Fort Worth and, work with ACE and other contracting crews, there was definitely a need to move away from paper maps. Just didn't work well for anybody. So IT Pipes and, of course, Gabriel Consulting, we have some experience and ideas on how electronic and digital maps could bring the project together and allow us to share information between users. Historically, like a lot of you may know, based off David's polling question, projects like this, we have paper maps in the office, you have paper maps in the mobile unit, CCTV trucks out in the field, in the office, in the field, you got spreadsheets all over your desk. There's emails flying back and forth and things of that nature. So as you can imagine, this type of workflow, it allows for problems like duplicate inspections, omitted inspections, time associated with swapping hard drives and moving data, transferring it from vans into the office, and definitely the probability of hard drive crash. That that's happened. That's very common occurrence when you kind of remove stuff in by external devices. So here we wanted to give you a general overview of the challenges we had, but we're going to go into each of these challenges and the solution we found to not just meet the challenges, but to provide additional functionality and increased efficiency. So with that said, we got multiple offices, we got multiple contractors. On top of all the challenges we just talked about, having multiple contractors in different locations, which are in close proximity, these contractors use different applications, whether they're in the field or in the office. Everybody has their own workflows, etc. One of the biggest concerns that ACE has is how do we keep everyone and everything up to date? And this is actually a pretty large challenge. Please note now that it's worth mentioning that obviously ACE is in Kansas City, Missouri, and one of the contractor, Blue Nile contractor, they're also there. One of the team members have a satellite office at Trek, but they have a satellite office, but they're primarily located in St. Louis, and of course, as Kristen Davis said, I'm in Fort Worth. So on this map, you can see the project area, but then each area is broken into show where each contractor is working. And just keep in mind, this is an actual ongoing project as we speak today. So we needed a solution ASAP on how to get all this online and how to do that. Chris, I think we got a polling question.
We do. Let's go ahead and launch our next question. Are you using a compliance coding system for inspections, PACP, SPI, CAP, or other? And, David mentioned several compliance coding systems earlier. So if you're in the other category, please go ahead and comment in our questions dialog box and let us know what you're using. So one more time, are you using a compliance coding system for inspections, PACP, SPI, CAP, or other? It looks like a majority of you are using PACP, with about 65% of the audience, a small percentage SPI, CAP, and a good part of you, 33% other. So you 33%, please use the questions dialog box and go ahead and let us know what you're using, or maybe you have a custom one. We appreciate it. Okay, we're going to close the poll. Back to you, Daryl.
All right, thank you, Krista. Good information. Like one of the first things we had to do is come up with a means to share maps. Like you see on the previous slide, we have 3 contractors, multiple crews, different software packages and application, and really at this point in time, only one of the contractors was familiar with using digital maps. So getting everyone on the same page can be quite tricky and challenging. If you can see the slider bar here, the old days of a highlighter, a paper map that may or may not fit on your desk. A lot of you people, probably like me, you've hung these big giant maps on the wall. That just doesn't work. So for that, we decided to use GIS Online to take advantage of that. That would give us maps that everyone could easily assess. But that did not give us the detailed inspection data that we needed that's associated with each of the CCTV inspections. That's a big animal to attack, so we needed something more. So not only did we need shared maps, we needed shared maps with inspection data. So now that we have our maps up online, utilizing GIS Online and IT Pipe's web-based, there's a lot of information that's unique with CCTV inspection. It's just not the attribute data. It's an ad set, but there's a lot of inspection data that goes with that ad set. Earlier on I said every pipe, every ad set needs a plan. Well, you can't make a plan unless you have information. So you need the inspection data. You need the snapshots of the photos for each observation defect log. You need videos associated with that. And then also, with new emerging technology, there's other sensory information, or you might need a PDF report, etc. So with IT Pipes Web, we can use IT Pipes to store the associated information. And Corey's going to show how this is done in this little video.
Thanks, Daryl. Before we play the video, Krista, I think we have another polling question.
Sure, we have another poll. We're going to go ahead and launch it. We want to keep your attention, you guys. Do you have a way to integrate your inspections with video, snapshots, PDFs into your maps? Please select one, yes, no, you don't know. So one more time, do you have a way to integrate your inspections with video, snapshots, PDFs into your maps? Looks like only about half of you have voted, so we're going to give you a few more seconds to make the best selection for your organization. There we go, a couple more of you. Just take a second to answer the polling question and we'll move on. It looks like just over 50% of you are saying yes, you do have a way to integrate. About 30% are saying no, and a handful of you aren't sure. Thank you for answering the poll. We're going to go ahead and close that. Back to you, Corey.
Thanks, Krista. So as Daryl mentioned, we have maps available, but of course we didn't want to push all the media and files up into or even reference them individually inside the geodatabase. The media files, as David mentioned earlier, can be terabytes of data and literally thousands and thousands of files. So storing those files separately and using IT Pipes to manage the files made complete sense, but we still needed to have the map tied into the inspections, as that would be critical for the user experience. And you'll see more of why that was so important and some of the challenges that Dash and Daryl will address. But with this video is what you'll see that we have IT Pipes Web with ArcGIS Online integrated. And that means we have all the asset and attribute detail in the inspection tied together seamlessly from the user view, but on the back end stored separately. So the back end has the inspections managed through IT Pipes Web, in this case on an Amazon server, although clients can choose their preference. But the inspections, even though they're managed and displayed through IT Pipes Web, can be launched from the map. So I'll start the video playing, and you'll see the map on the right and the list of assets on the left. And if I select an asset, the map automatically zooms to that asset. And then I can see the asset and attribute info on the left, the observation and log sheet detail down below, so all the inspection information that the operators collected while TVing that line. Then I've got the video associated with the line, and of course I can play the full video, or I can toggle to the snapshots that are collected for each observation that's logged. And of course I can choose to watch the video and see the snapshots as well. From there, I can also pull up the PDF reports, and so each inspections log sheet has a PDF that coordinates with that, and the user could choose to print that in case they need to take it somewhere away from the computer system. So all of this meant that it was accessible for anyone to see the full detail on the completed inspections, including the snapshots, the video, the PDF, sonar laser, any other details for review. But essentially, all that inspection info was available in one place, so anyone from anywhere could pull it up, and we could have it tied to their GIS.
Excellent.
Sarah?
Excellent. Okay, that was really good, Corey. Yeah, let's move on to some another challenge where we talk about our work assignment and asset information. One of the challenges was how to assign work orders to each company or each crew. We had all this asset information in GIS, but how could we utilize it, maximize it? Assigning work to multiple crews in-house for ACE pipe cleaning and using GIS info would definitely reduce our errors, omissions, typos, and things of that nature. So what we did, we set it up where we were assigning work orders from IT Pipes Web with data mapping straight from our GIS to the field software. From IT Pipes Web, which has attribute info that from our GIS Online, we can now assign and push out work orders to the crews as Corey's going to show in this example.
Thanks, Daryl. So in this video, it happens really quick, but you'll see us scheduling the inspections for a specific operator off of the map. So I'll go ahead and start the video playing. And you can see we've got the map on the right, and the user will choose to highlight an asset, or in this case, an area of assets, so a bunch of lines that need inspected. And in the upper right, we'll choose to create a work order and assign those inspections to truck 1. Now, because we're doing a demo, the video forces a sync, but the sync essentially takes the assigned work from the office and it pushes it out to the truck. So if in the truck they're either connected via wired connection at the end of the day, or if they're using broadband throughout the day or have Wi-Fi access, once the sync takes place, all the assets assigned to the operator are automatically pushed out to that truck. And so what we'll show next in the video is the truck operator opening the project, going to a smart tab called My Assigned Assets. And when the operator selects that smart tab, you can see the list of pipes were automatically pushed out from the map. And if we select a specific pipe, you can see in the right window, the operator already has some existing attribute data appearing. So for example, manhole numbers, pipe material, pipe ID. Now, of course, any info can be pushed out, and then the operator can still populate additional info, which later can be compared to the GIS. But once the operator's got any additional info input or typed in, then the operator can essentially begin to start the inspection. And that means turning on the CCTV camera and starting to push the camera down the line to actually log the full video, but begin the inspection itself from there.
Excellent, Corey. And as everybody can see, it's essentially a very efficient way to assign work and have the asset data ready and work orders ready to push out and go to the operators. So that's not the only challenges. Now you got to talk about the inspection status and updating and sharing and things of this nature. So, you know, as inspections are finished, crews in the field needed an easy way to update reports so everyone could see what's completed and what inspections remain. The video you saw above in the last slide shows the crew syncing. With that, not only are the new workers pushed down, but as you saw in the video, but completed inspections are pushed up. And you can see that, how Corey's sliding the slider bar across. So, you know, you can say, okay, that's how it was, and as the day goes through, those are completed. So you can see what's left, what's remaining to be inspected, and what's been completed. So, for example, supervisors can immediately see what was completed, not completed, the inspection, abandonment, and et cetera, any other filter or smart tab you want to set up. Keep in mind that throughout the day, all operators also can see and share what work is completed and what's left to be inspected. Another advantage is as priorities change, and I think we're all familiar with that. Supervisor will get a call, something changes up, but a supervisor manager could or can reschedule or add assets to be inspected based on the crew's visual location. So you don't have to get on the phone and call a guy from the north part of the town to get to the south part. This implementation provides for real-time access throughout the day and literally over the entire course of the project. So that's how we address inspection status and updating and sharing. But then you have to get into the reports of the overall project managers, the contractors, and the operators. So from a comprehensive project management standpoint, ASPIRE claimant needed to see what lines are assigned to the other contractors or their own group and the status of the overall project. So and this video is a really good example of how that's accomplished. Corey?
Great. So as you can see in this video, IT Pipes Web will allow a user to see a list of assets on the left, and then of course the coordinating map on the right. And if I show the map on the right, we can see we've got the different color coding, and I'll just the video adjust the colors a little bit to point those out more. But in the legend, you can see we're adjusting by contractor name. And so you can see, for example, the different contractors are showing in blue. But then on the left, we can also choose to group by the surveyed by or who the survey is assigned to. And so right away, you can see the map on the color coding changes. And I can see in the legend, some of the inspections or assets are assigned to the admin. We'll just adjust that to blue to kind of highlight it. And then some of the assets are assigned to Chris, and we'll adjust those to red to highlight those. But of course, the color coding on my map automatically reflects whatever's assigned on the left. And I could choose to sort by status, by what lines are complete or still need to be inspected. I could choose to group by any of the data fields that are shown inside of IT Pipes Web or that the user set up inside of IT Pipes Web.
Excellent. And just to expand on that, everyone, we can literally drill down even further. Similar to showing the work by contractor or operator, overall, we also needed to see the status of each work order, basically each asset. So as you can imagine, we can really drill down into this data set, and that's what this video and the clip through here is going to show.
Great. So I'll start the video playing, and you can see we've got the map on the right, and the legend is showing color coding by work order. So we can see we've got different assets assigned to different work orders. And if I use IT Pipes Web to group by work order, you can see in the listing on the left, the video will just collapse the work orders. So you can see I've got 33 lines assigned to work order 38, 25 lines assigned to work order 65, 39 lines assigned to work order 98, and of course the color coding on the map reflects that. And so you can see I've got the different work orders, and the video just adjusts the colors to kind of highlight those. But of course, throughout the day, if changes are made to a work order or to an assignment, those maps are updated dynamically to the operators, to the supervisors, to the different contracting companies. So that color coding just makes it visually a great way to track the work orders. And Krista, I believe we've got another polling question.
Hi, Corey. Yep, we do have another poll. Let's go ahead and get that launched. Do your contractor jobs or specs require that inspections be integrated with maps for tracking? Yes, no, or you're not sure. So if you could just take a second to go ahead and answer the poll, we would appreciate it. Do your contractor jobs or specs require the inspections to be integrated with maps for tracking? Yes, no, or you don't know. Looks like we're still missing a few votes. Come on, you guys, let's get active. Get in there and vote. All right, I see a few more of you coming on. So right now we have about half of the respondents saying no, it's not required. About 30% saying yes, and a pretty good percentage, more than 20%, is saying they don't know if it's required or not. We're going to go ahead and close the poll. Back to you, Corey.
Interesting. Well, obviously for this project, tracking the inspections and coordinating those on the maps was critical, and it just made in my opinion, just watching the users work on the project, it was a huge difference in the way that inspections were just assigned, and when a crew was already in an area, they were able to make that inspection happen and make sure that the work was accomplished when they were already out in that location. So Josh, we'll have you talk about one of the next challenges.
Great, thanks, Corey. Yeah, so one of the other challenges that we had to address was how to track all abandoned inspections, reverse inspections, and confirm that all assets are fully inspected. If we're out in the field doing an inspection and run into any kind of obstruction or problem, the inspection is abandoned at that point. That means we have to go back and attempt to fully inspect the line at some point. So with sync pushing inspections automatically into IT Pipe's web, we have information from inspections and crews uploaded immediately. That means with IT Pipe's web, we're able to set up a smart tab showing abandoned inspections, i.e. we applied a filter to this tab to only show inspections that have been abandoned. You can see on the left here that there are 3 assets listed. With this, we also have a map that shows me the location of these assets. So sending a crew out to re-inspect is pretty easy, as Corey just said. We can consider the crew's location in comparison to the pipe location and very easily schedule from there. This report can be opened with a single click, and it lets us confirm we have re-attempted every line that had an incomplete inspection. Another challenge that we ran into with this project was that immediate problems needed reported ASAP to the client. For example, if the crew's cleaning or inspecting and we find a collapsed pipe during the inspection or an SSO or any other type of emergency, we needed a way to report that. So with the sync module, we could set up IT Pipe's web, so if a specific problem was found when the inspections sync to the web, an email notifier gets sent out to whoever we designate. Also, with that same information in the office, we can have a smart tab showing a list of the problems and the coordinating map. On this map, you can see we have SSOs highlighted. We could also choose to show any specific observation or defect found, such as all level 5 severity defects or anything we or Kansas City may be looking to review. So now we're going to take a look at how the data flow was set up for this project. Daryl?
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Josh. That's interesting. Just to expand on that, so you just saw how we were able to set up some queries just for a few specific things. So you could really drill down, and each agency and entity has its own priorities and stuff. So you can set this up to display whatever you need. Now, as far as the data flow finally worked out after this, now this is updated, done, and implemented and things of that nature, what we're showing here is basically how we've got it set up. The server is internal on site, and we push stuff to the office, which the data transfer goes out to the truck. And on the far right side, we're just showing 2 trucks, but that number can be quite large. And as you imagine for this project, I mean, we'll be having 4, 8, 12 plus trucks, well, 8 or 12 plus trucks over on the far right side that'll be pushed out and they're synced up to all of this stuff. So based on the solution, that's what we ended up with. We're having to connect, with having connectivity using broadband, Wi-Fi, or at the end of the day, trucks plugging in. Now, what I mean by that, like for ACE, I'm not sure what the other contractors are doing, but ACE does. Their trucks are able to pull in, plug into the electrical outlet, get an Ethernet cord, and literally plug right into the network and automatic connection to the server. So we have a central server that houses the central inspection repository. That's what it houses. So So from the office, we can access the central server database, so no data is actually sitting on anyone's PC. It's all on the server. But from the trucks, which are often disconnected from the server, we actually have a single database sitting on each of these trucks. Those then sync back and forth to the server, updating the central repository in real time throughout the day and obviously over the course of the project. This is our internal data flow, but we're also consistently syncing to Amazon online storage. So what that means, this allows access to anyone from any location at any time to all the data that we've discussed herein. And so we'll move on to the advantages of how we accomplished it. So from a workflow standpoint, this changed our workflow dramatically to eliminate having paper maps, give multiple users access to the same maps. You can get an idea from this workflow what we ended up with. You can see internal workflow shows the different activities amongst the user that they're working with, users that they're working with, how we assign the work, we perform the inspections, how we sync the data, and go through the workflow. So, you know, basically what we're looking at, you got your servers, and we can, everything now is a map-based, single shared map, pre-populated data with inspection on the PC and with updates visual. Update status on inspections are regular. The map base is anytime, anywhere. All users can access it, and smart tabs, which are really nice. They can be customized for any agency for whatever's important to you. So, you know, one of the things that we actually discovered, I know this comes at the end, probably should have put it at the top, but by during this implementation, we were able to establish a built-in QA/QC functionality to the workflow. So by default, utilizing IT Pipes Web along with GIS Online, any conflicts, errors, or omission are clearly visible on the map, and it really gives you a nice tool to funnel down and help you identify those locations, any discrepancies through your project. So with that, I'm going to hand this back to Krista. And once again, Corey and Josh and I, we appreciate all y'all hanging around for our presentation.
Thanks, Daryl. I appreciate your presentation, and we're going to go ahead and move into the question and answer part of our webinar. We have a few questions that are coming in, so let's just get started. One of our attendees would like to know about the GIS aspect of the IT Pipes Web. They only have one GIS person, and they're concerned that this looks like a lot of configuring on the GIS side. How is this done? Are the templates set up? Does Infrastructure Technologies take care of that? Or is it something that's easy enough for a single GIS person to implement?
So I'll take that question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Daryl. So when we provide IT Pipes, we generally do a full implementation. And so very often we'll go in and we'll set up the software for the client. However, all the tools for integration to GIS or asset management systems are fully configurable, and they're configurable by the user or by our implementer. And so if an agency does have an admin that's familiar with doing field mapping and can see warnings on and understand warnings on why maybe one field doesn't match to another, then an agency could certainly do that implementation on their own. And we definitely have some best practices documents that outline kind of the steps to go through to do an implementation along those lines.
Thanks, Corey. We have another question about the actual data and the history of the data inspections, and Joseph wants to know if that history is maintained or if it's overwritten each time you inspect a line.
Yeah, if nobody minds, I'll jump in on that one. That's kind of a business decision. During my time with the City of Fort Worth, we allow for multiple inspection, and no, this process does not override anything. You could set it up that way. It is an option that's available to you, but we didn't use it, and I'm not, or map function to override, because we wanted to maintain this history. And when you get into asset management, things of that nature, you like to, it's always a snapshot in time, and like David referenced at the very beginning, it's a data point. First inspection is a data point. Well, your first inspection is a data point when you put it in the ground. Then your second, your first inspection, and so on and so forth. So no. Now, if we had a lot of duplicate inspections in a short amount of time, because a lot of people, you'll go out and the line's dirty, you got to redo this, root cut, grease cut, whatever, and get things done. Yes, we would delete those videos, but we would save that historical operation throughout the process.
Thanks, Daryl.
I hope that answered. Yeah, I hope I answered this question.
We also have some questions about the video files. These are large, and sometimes it's difficult for customers to manage the video files. So how about the management of those? Are they stored in the Amazon cloud? Are they stored locally? And what's the access like? Can you talk about that?
I'll take that one. So some of our clients store their videos locally on their servers, and they use IT Pipes Web as a browser-based app at the city staff workstation. But one of the nicer capabilities with IT Pipes Web is that you can connect it to Amazon hosting, and either we can provide that hosting or you can have that hosting direct through Amazon or through other providers. But obviously then you can store those videos on the cloud. And with IT Pipes, you can really use any video format that you like and decide the quality of the video format. So we have some recommended standards that are really good for streaming video and give you good quality but make it quick to review. And you saw during the demo I played the videos played one of the videos, and that was actually coming off of an Amazon server. So it gave you an idea on the speed and the quality briefly. But we definitely recommend moving the videos to the web if possible, just because of the cost and the management side of it. It's just so much simpler.
Thanks, Corey. So we're getting a lot of questions coming in, and I see a couple of them about the field crews, the work trucks that are out there, and how they're accessing the data. And I believe Daryl, maybe it was Josh, had mentioned that the trucks sync up and update the data in real time. So if they're completely disconnected, they're still working, and then they just sync once they're reconnected. Is that correct?
The answer to that question is yes and no. During the field, within the field, they are. No, wait a minute. Repeat the question one more time, Krista, so I can make sure I answer this one correctly, because there's a lot of options here.
Yeah, it's a long question. The basic question is, if there's no connectivity in the field, the trucks can still get the work done, and then when they are connected again, they would at that time sync and provide the updated information.
Yes, the answer to the question is yes. You can work when you're offline, and actually Fort Worth has done this. They haven't pushed out online like this yet for a lot of reasons. But yes, so during the day, you have the option of setting this up however you want it. If you're using your maps, you can definitely link and pull this stuff up and see it and see what's been done and all that. But for most of, and one of the polling questions answers this, but most of the agencies and municipalities, they don't do that, and then there's a multitude of ways you go on how they come in the office. The new computers or external drives, thumb drives. There's a variety of ways and how you do that, how you set it up. I know before Fort Worth moved to this, their policy was okay once a week. They were comfortable. Fort Worth went to digital in 2002. So over time, with hardware refreshing, they're to the point that they're safe just bringing data in once a week. I mean, it's still in the truck. It stays on the truck, and then we just bring in updates once a week. So, yeah, there's multiple ways you can set that up if you're not online.
Thanks, Daryl. We also have a few questions about CMMS. Is this software integrated with a CMMS system, and if so, which ones?
IT Pipes is able to integrate with several different CMMS solutions. So we have what we call canned integration with different CMMS solutions, but when I say canned, it's fully configurable. So we integrate, to give you an idea on some of the solutions we integrate with, we fully integrate with CityWorks, which is obviously GIS-centric. We integrate with Lucity, with IBM's Maximo product, Oracle's WAM product, and several other solutions. But all of those integrations are fully configurable, so a client can choose whether or not they're pushing data back and forth with the CMMS solution. So maybe inside CityWorks, choosing the assets they'd like to be inspected, assigning them to a specific inspector, doing the sync so that that pushes into IT Pipes Web, then completing the inspections in IT Pipes Web and pushing that back up into CityWorks, so actually data transfer with the CMMS, or they can just choose to link and launch information from the CMMS. So they're inside the CMMS and they want to view an inspection, they can launch the IT Pipes Web viewer. So we definitely integrate with a lot of CMMS systems that are out there, and we have, like I said, what we call the canned integration, although it's configurable. So the answer is yes.
So Corey, Dave here, kind of a follow-up to that, as the data is sitting up in, let's say, if I'm doing cloud only and it's in ArcGIS Online, are those, feature services, are they available to like other business systems that may want to get access to some of that information?
Certainly. So let's say that in IT Pipes Web, you set up a smart tab that was showing you lines that were assigned to specific inspectors, or maybe lines that had rehab needed or were budgeted to be replaced 20 years from now. Anything that you set up as a smart tab could be pushed out as a feature service to be consumed by another application. Is that what you're asking, David?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the point is, because it's in the ArcGIS platform, these are just, in essence, ESRI objects that can be made available to other systems. So that really extends your integration component. And that's one of the reasons, like I say, working with infrastructure technologies, it really helps us, start to do all that full integration to the platform. So yeah, great answer. Thank you.
I think we have time for one or maybe two more questions. The next question is about the software. So if a customer has the IT Pipes solution, is the IT Pipes Web purchased in addition to that, or is it all one package? How would they move to an online solution?
It really depends on what kind of implementation the client has. So some of our clients use IT Pipes out in the CCTV units, like ACE has their crews doing. Some of our clients use IT Pipes in the office inside, basically on their desktops, and they have the trucks syncing with the desktops, like what we saw with ACE. Then with IT Pipes Web, you have the option to either have the trucks sync with the desktop, like ACE is doing, and then from the desktop push out to the web, or a client could have the trucks just instantly sync to the web and not store the information internally. So either option is available. Now, if a client does have integration, which a good portion of our clients already have IT Pipes integrating with their GIS or their CMMS system, and so if they do have that integration with other, with those platforms inside of their agency, then definitely we would want to consider how to do the rollout or implementation of IT Pipes Web, just to ensure everything is smooth during the process.
Thanks, Corey.
So Corey, again, Dave here. One thing I just want to make note to all the attendees, I really appreciate the fact that the entire presentation was done with a story map. So the presentation itself was using our cloud technology, so good job.
Nice plug, David. All right, well, that's about all the time we have today. Thank you, Corey and Josh and Daryl, for a great presentation, and I hope the rest of you will join us next month for our next webinar. Have a great weekend.